Coming up on today's wrestling news, WWE just booked the worst debut ever.
We have an update on Rey Mysterio following his injury on SmackDown.
A major title change at the Great American Bash.
And we have details on why Zelina Vega has been such a featured presence on WWE television.
I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Michael Sidgwick.
And this is the news. So let's dive straight into it, Sidge. Last night was the Great American Bash, and God bless the United States. And, well, there was a major title change that, don't worry, we'll get into in due course. But never mind that, the worst debut ever's just happened.
I will shed no tears for Gable Steveson, okay?
Yeah.
But if you're WWE, and it's from your perspective, and you don't care about Gable Steveson, or rather you do, why would you do that?
Yeah.
So basically, NXT Great American Bash is Gable Stevenson's in-ring debut. He's going up against Baron Corbin. He throws a few suplexes. The crowd do not like him.
Nope.
They chant at him, "You're not Angle," which he isn't, and in virtually every single way. And they go to a double count out. The guy, and again, I will shed no tears for Gable Steveson, just to clarify that once again, but if you are WWE, it's probably a good idea on your part, considering you are ultimately in the star creation process, to push people and to make them look good. This man, I don't like him. He's an Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
Maybe just have him win his debut. Everyone wins their debut.
Yeah, the thing is, right?
Literally everyone wins their debut pretty much.
Yeah, WWE tried literally everything with Gable Steveson. They, put him out there front and centre, like you say, with all the plaudits, the NCAA stuff, obviously the Olympic gold medal. They attached him with Kurt Angle. They had him do appearances at WrestleMania. He was involved in the draft a few years ago and then just wasn't used. And then they dropped it down to NXT. He did kind of a kick-ass thing at NXT Underground, in certain people's opinion, at least. But then, they set this match up and you thought, okay, debut match. Baron Corbin, yes, Baron Corbin's got this new gimmick, but it's bog standard, isn't it? Just go out there, beat Baron Corbin, who's just a generic heel at this point, and establish yourself. And they did a big video package of look at all the stuff he's done. And then he came out, and the fans at the, hang on one second, HEB Center in Cedar Park, Texas, did not like Gable Steveson. They booed him the moment he came out there. It was a very sort of generic establishing babyface match in terms of Corbin at least attempted to sort of get heat by slowing him down and beating him up and going to 5 when he's kicking him in the corner and shouting at the referee and stuff, and he got hugely over as a result of that. By that I don't mean Gable Steveson. And then Gable Steveson did the usual firing up and then I'm an Olympian, so I'll chuck you all over the bloody place, and then they just went to a double count out. There was already boost for Gable Steveson, like I say, prior to that, and the "You're not Angle" chants, and then the fans just started shouting bullshit.
In the content game, there is an element you might have noticed of hyperbole in titles. That has to be the worst. I'm not being funny. Again, I don't care. But if you're WWE and you've got a Olympic gold medalist in wrestling to debut, and he's meant to be this game changer, he isn't. They might as well push Michael Owen. In terms of the personality this guy.
Well done. He's Baron Corbin.
But you know what I mean? They might as well. But the idea is, you might as well try.
Yeah.
It's an investment. You've tried hard enough to recruit him. He's got some name value. In terms of, no one's really under the belief that this guy's got the charisma to be a huge megastar.
Athletically, no question.
But you gotta try, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not that bothered.
They brawled afterwards, by the way, after it went to a count out, and the fans couldn't have cared less and still hated it.
Put it this way, before it became apparent, this guy's gotten out, when he was appearing on television, right, can you imagine, go back 3 years, they're getting that Steveson guy.
Yeah.
3 years later, he's going to debut on an NXT show to a double count out with Baron Corbin.
Unbelievable.
It's got to be the worst.
And also,
one of the funniest, but also the worst.
Doesn't really help the comparisons that he's had with Kurt Angle, who had a rather different debut.
Yeah, it's one of those, it was their fault.
Yeah. We'll get back to the Great American Bash in due course because we have to talk about Rey Mysterio.
Yes, we've got an update on Rey Mysterio. Happily, it's a nice one. If you watch SmackDown, you will recall that just as it was really sparking into life, a match with Santos Escobar, something went awry. It wasn't apparently the spot which brought an end to the match. That was tacked on, and audible was called, basically as pretext to get the hell out of there because, in the words of Dave Meltzer, corroborating the report from Fightful Select that no, this was not the planned finish. Something indeed went awry. Rey Mysterio had, quote or paraphrase, got knocked loopy in the process of the match, hence why it was truncated. I think the original plan was for Escobar to win regardless. But no, Dave Meltzer has said that there were obviously concerns that he might be concussed, but that appears not to be the case, and he was doing fine, mercifully, after the fact. And that's great news for any wrestler, but Rey Mysterio's awesome as well.
Yeah, devastating that it cut short a match that had such potential there. We were really excited about it, talking about it on the SmackDown preview on the WhatCulture Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from, on Friday. Yeah, Escobar and Mysterio had a really decent ceiling to it, but unfortunately, Mysterio, you could just tell, had kind of knocked loopy at some point. They in storyline, like you say, did it because of the dive that Sanos hit to the outside. But Meltzer talks about it happening actually prior to that. The most important thing, though, like you say, is the fact that he's all right now, because it's always worrying whether it's a legend, an older wrestler, or just someone working, some of their first matches. When anyone goes down like that and the referee kind of has to call it, always worrying. Yeah,
but no, happily, all appears to be well. And all was well overnight in the Wilborn household.
My God, I've been so excited. Full disclosure, right? Last night I was sort of up late and I thought, you know what? I'll stick on the Great American Bash I'll just watch the first match and see what happens. And the greatest thing in wrestling happened.
History.
Arguably the finest moment in the history of the Great American Bash happened. I can't think of anything else major that's ever happened at that event.
Yeah, War Games.
But you have new tag team goddamn champions. Bada bing, bada boom. Tony D and Stacks are your new tag team champions. They won the match for the tag titles against Gallus at the Great American Bash in one of the greatest openers of all time. It was the convoluted bollocks that you've come to expect from Gallus, basically. Joe Coffey attempting to run interference, distracting the wrestlers, getting involved in the match, and then getting twatted with a crowbar towards the finish as Tony D and Stacks nailed Wolfgang, I believe it was, with the...
Doesn't really matter.
No, bada boom, bada bing, to end Gallus's 176-day reign. It's felt like 4 years, to be honest. They won the titles, of course, Gallus that is, from the New Day, all the way back at Vengeance Day in February. They've had 6 successful title defenses, but they couldn't stand up to the greatest tag team in history. That is Tony D'Angelo and Stacks. We're going to be talking about this later, so I'm not going to go too hard right now, Sige, but... I mean, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
No, realistically, yes. We will be talking about this later on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. But I was elated. They've told this absolutely ridiculous story, but it's a long story. And the fans didn't care as much as you, Wilborn.
No.
But ultimately, the titles got switched. So if nothing else, what we are saying here is accurate.
Yep, exactly. That is what you get, Gallus, for messing with the goddamn family. Let us know your thoughts on that and everything that went down the Great American Bash, by the way, in the comments section. Great American Cash in the comment section below. Let's talk Zelina Vega.
Yes, absolutely. Fightful Select have come through with a report, which is really typically WWE in my opinion. So apparently, you might remember Backlash, an absolutely tremendous show.
We go back on like a weekly basis, you and I, and watch that Bad Bunny
Oh
entrance.
my God, it's one of the best. That was the moment to me where it crystallized. Jesus Christ, WWE is massive right now. Like, absolutely massive, like kind of cutting edge. And the production was great, so atypical. Anyway, elsewhere on that show, Rhea Ripley defeated Zelina Vega in a, solid match that was received rapturously by the Puerto Rico fans. And the original plan was for a squash. For a squash.
Yeah, here she is. Bang, 1, 2, 3.
Like, things have improved, in my opinion, moderately from the Vince McMahon regime, but that was, even though he's still there, but that was very much out the Vince playbook of, you like her? You kiss my ass. And just watch her get beat. And see you next time, assholes. So that was originally the plan, but, someone... came up with the idea of, they might like it.
Yeah.
So they decided to make it more competitive. I think it went 7 minutes or something like that. And of course, Vega got that reaction. And it was that reaction that, according to Fightful Select, that has driven her subsequent push as part of the merchandise sensation. That is the LWO. She was obviously featured very heavily in the Women's Money in the Bank match. Got a nice reaction there as well. And this appears to just be the launching point for the career. The in-ring career, anyway, of Zelina Vega. And she's very well liked. She's so funny as well. I've never seen her in a setting where...
Good patter.
Yeah, she's patter, so I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, this is hilarious, this story coming out now. Like you say, a Backlash, one of my favourite shows of the year. They should go back to Puerto Rico every year for a pay-per-view.
You should rename it Puerto Rico Wrestling Entertainment.
Yes.
It's awesome.
But I can't imagine how they would have reacted had she just come out there, she had that big Puerto Rican themed entrance, and then Rhea just hit her with the Riptide inside like a minute. But it is one of those things, like, I'm kinder to WWE post Vince McMahon, he's still there, than you are. But you know when people say...
It's really successful.
Yeah, and you know when people say,
it's incredible.
Say like, oh, check it out, Papa H is cooking. Right, I'm guilty of it occasionally.
Every day.
I mean, this booking decision is the equivalent of going from like a pot noodle to a microwave meal. Being like, Jesus, someone knows how to cook lasagna? That's like, it was so blatantly obvious. We all knew Zelina wasn't going to win the title, but give her a fighting chance. They did do that in the end. Smarter heads prevailed, but yeah, just a reminder that Vince is always there. He shouldn't be, but he always bloody is. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE, of course, you want to get in touch with us on X. First question today comes from Lewis Willing. Thank you for your question, Lewis. I thought this would be a perfect question for you, Sige. On a scale of 1 to Tiger Driver 91, how excited are you for AEW at Wembley?
Let's Tiger Driver 91 because I'm going. If I wasn't going, I would be a little bit... Is concerned the word, or do we live in a really insta-take negative? I mean, I can't really talk about that, to be honest. It's weird that A, they've not announced a single thing. B, what they've teased, I don't necessarily think... I've been using the word Wembley-sized a lot. Mm-hmm. Wembley-sized in my head, whether it's politically impossible or not, is CM Punk versus Kenny Omega. Or, something absolutely gigantic.
It's 80,000 tickets they're trying to sell.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a realistic shot of being the highest paid attendance in the history of the industry. And like, with all due respect, like, Moxley Cassidy is a great upper-card attraction in that you've got two people who've never wrestled.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Never wrestled once. They've had the odd interaction here and there. They are cornerstones of that company. It's wild that the booking is so patient that they've not really collided yet. And, if they do a double juice bloodbath, it could be incredible. But it is Wembley sized. That's a word I keep going back to. I want this show, and maybe it's unrealistic, to be like Forbidden Door times 2.
Yeah.
When... I don't also understand the discourse about, well, it's a month away, you're going to get matches, just wait. What sold people on the hype of Forbidden Door 2 is the very early announcement. Are you going to get Danielson and Carter?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. That's like Nirvana to me.
Yeah.
A nerd. I was expecting something early along those lines. It's like a line, like a marker to say, right, here's what you're going to get. Get all the way excited about it. And it's kind of weird that for the Wembley show of all things, we haven't got that yet. So if I wasn't going, a 7. It's one of those, they could do anything. When you see that spectacle, that vista of fans, it'll be insane.
Yeah, one bonus question I wanted to ask in addition to
Did you submit a question?
I didn't, but I can subvert the rules. Is what did you make of the conversation over the weekend where I think it was Bully Ray maybe was suggesting don't announce anything at this point and have it all revealed on the night. It's so original. No one's ever really done that before. Because like you say,
there's a reason why no one's ever done it before. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the Mystery Vortex and Reseda, as much as I like those shows,
Yeah.
It's not that.
Yeah.
It goes against every grain of promotion. And, so did a lot of things that worked out. Maybe Bully Ray has got the ticket to... he's wrong.
Fair enough.
He is wrong.
Tully Television gives us our next question. Thank you, Tully, for this. Hello, lads. Like Twitter's recent rebranding, of course, 2 eggs. Which current star is in need of a rebranding?
Well, obviously Cable
It's
Stevenson.
Cable Stevenson, isn't it? Like, that's the thing.
He didn't even have the best suplex on TakeOver on Great American Bash. You know who did?
Who? This guy.
Tongue deep.
You could just lean into it, couldn't you? Him being like, I'm an Olympic, a bit like Kurt did.
A bit like the superiority complex. It's like, well, you hate what you cannot be. He hasn't got the chops to pull that off. I think that would be a waste of time. In terms of who I think, not a rebrand, okay, but like maybe just a reminder of something that this wrestler used to be able to do incredibly well. I think Hangman Page needs to rediscover his patter.
Yeah.
He's one of my favourite wrestlers in the scene. I think, and this is very AEW pilled, I apologise, I think he's got a case for being one of the greatest in the ring of all time. If you look at the dense cluster of stuff he's done on Dynamite and on pay-per-views, you could put that body of work up against anyone, bearing in mind that some of his TV work is like better than most TV matches ever. Like Danielson Hangman on Winter Is Coming, put that against anyone's pay-per-view matches.
Yeah.
I loved the moment where there's a backstage segment. It's February 2020. It's an amazing time to be a wrestling fan. It actually is. And he gets chastised by Matt Jackson for having a drink. And Matt Jackson says, that's the problem right there. And Jackson yanks the pint-sized beer from him. Page goes, and then it can't possibly physically happen, but that absurdity makes the bit. He just gets a pitcher and just starts drinking from there. When was the last time Paige did something like that?
You've been saying this with him and Britt Baker a lot recently.
Yeah, it just feels like a lot of the characters in AEW Dynamite used to feel like really like incidentally funny. They could just do these like random non sequiturs that didn't detract from like the weight of the material that they were like performing at the time. It just felt a little bit different. So yeah, and it's one of those where he was in a really interpersonal feud with the Elite at the time. He can still do these non sequiturs on occasion. And I don't know, other than the odd lower third, which he always had, it hasn't felt like that magical part of the Hangman character has been a thing for me. So I don't know, just rediscover that.
And move away from, I don't know if I'm friends with the Dark Order anymore. Ugh. Get on with it. I'll say, if we're not saying, well, we are saying Gable Steveson, you have to turn the heel there. I will say Karrion Kross, because despite his dominant victory over Carl Anderson on SmackDown Friday night, no one believes his character, because you keep doing this, you keep having him like choke people out and beat the crap out of them, and then when it comes to the big match, usually against AJ Styles, he just loses.
It just chokes.
So just change something up, but yeah. It's kind of spoiled for choice to be right now, to be perfectly honest. Final question today. You can tell I've picked the questions, and Andy's not here to keep a tight leash on me.
To tell you off.
Yeah, because Troy gives us our final question today. Thank you, Troy. If after Jessica McKay, aka the formerly known as Billy Bladdy Kay, of course, of the Iconics, has her baby and wishes to resume her wrestling career with Cassie Lee, formerly known as Peyton Bladdy Royce, of course, should they A, Michael Sidgwick, return to WWE as the Iconics again, return to Impact as the Inspiration again, or go to AEW/Ring of Honor and start a new tag team division?
I don't necessarily think they fit in the in-ring heavy converse. So I would take them out there. If we're being realistic, the context of Impact Wrestling, this kind of elastic quality, like they've got the Undead Realm and they can do like more comedy, I guess. They didn't take off there, if I'm being honest. I think that if they're going to do anything else, they should go back to WWE. And I honestly think that interactions between the Iconics and Chelsea Green. There's some stuff there. I think there is genuinely good material there. And it's really not often that you get to see the women's division get to flex their comedic muscles. Again, Dr. Britt Baker was the most over when she did that. I'm not advocating for all wrestlers should be funny, but like it is really entertaining when they can pull it off. And I think there's something in that dynamic.
Yeah, there was the video of them with the classic, you got a journalism for that? You got to be joking me interview. Did the rounds again on Twitter the other day, and yeah, just reminded me how great they were as a team, how underutilized. I mean, they had a tag team title reign, but WWE really didn't commit to something like that. I think they would fit perfectly right now in the women's tag division in WWE. But I'm not going to sit here like some wrestling fans and say, well, after they've had the baby, probably back to work in about 3 weeks or something, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's one of those weird things. It's nice that you want to see them come back, though.
But yeah, I would love to see them back in WWE, just as I loved seeing these guys become NXT Tag Team Champions. Forget about it. Gallus is sleeping with the fishes. Let us know your thoughts on everything in the comments, and check out this video. We'll see you later.